We're doing Ois Daled. The Rebbe is explaining why the creation of the world, as well as in Torah, it starts off with a klal, and then it goes to the prat. It starts off with a nekuda, with a point, which is basically a tzimtzum. The Rebbe explained it's like the hashpoah from the Rav to the Talmud. That the Rav, in order to give to the Talmud, first he needs to give it to him in Dvarim Kitzorim, short words. He has to give a general outline, like the Mishnah, like the different things that come gradual, and then all the details come in. The Rav can't give right away the all the details, because then the details will be too much. You need to be able to separate by the Rav himself in the hashpah. You need to separate and uh, give a general and not so the which is hakbola to be magbil the seichel, and then the seichel that will come will be lif'erech, will be according to the kli of the Talmud. And the same thing is in the Rav himself, in the Amtzoras HaSeichel. The Rebbe said also we have both of these pratim, that you have first the level of the Nekuda to separate it, and over there it's the pratim are still very powerful, but then he brings it down to the level at which he could be Mishayir what the Talmud needs. But anyways, now the Rebbe is going to go back to the nimshal that we learned from this mashal, how it applies to creation of the world. So the nimshal from this will understand above the bichdei sheha'oir shemahaves ha'olamis. In order for the light that creates the worlds, yiyah lifi erech hanivroim, it should be according to the value, the level of the created being. Be'oifen, why does it need to be be'erech? It should be in a way sheyuchal lahoyir b'hem b'pnimis. He should be able to shine in their inside. So the oir needs to be lifi erech. He has to have the same value, the same level. He has to be a comparison to the created being, so that he can enter, shine in their inside. So first it was necessary to have the Hamshach in a way of a klal uprat. First in a general, then specific. Why? Since the worlds are incomparable to the relative to the infinite light of the oir, lochein be'im ha'hamshocha hoisa melachatchila beribui pratim. If the hamshocha came to beginning in the many details, that would be not through a nekuda, wouldn't come in a cloud first. It would just come down all the pratim without coming first in a cloud. Oz hoyu oz hapratim bibligvul. So then these details would be unlimited, the way they are from the perspective of Ein Sof, which the pratim are unlimited, and it would not fit into the finity of the world. Therefore, in the beginning, it was necessary to come down in a general way. And that shaped the oir that it should be in a general way according to the world. We didn't go straight to the protim. So first we had this cloud. And also through this, when the details, the specifics that are drawn on afterwards, they're according to this tzir. That what? So now they are limited. The oir is a limited oir because you need the oir to come down to the level of a pneumius to the oilomus, which is ein aroich to the ein aroich to the ein sof. So therefore, in order to get the oir to become first limited, you have the klolis, and from the klolis, you have the proteins come down in a specific. And also in both aspects, we talked about by the hashpoah rav letalmid in the actual hashpoah, there is the derech kitzora, that, and then the Talmud gets the protim. We also said, also in the Himotzus HaSeichel Barav himself, that first it separates the Seichel that is Shaykh to the Talmud, and then he can be Mishayr what the Talmud can get. And just like when we talk about the hashpah of the seichel, the flow of seichel from the teacher to the student. The introduction first comes the klal before the detail. Is both whether in the actual hashpah when he is teaching the student. That the flow comes in a short way. The burim kitzurim shekoilim kol haprotim shatalmid yovin achar kach, short words that include in themselves all the details that the student will later on understand. So we have the idea of klal uprat, the dvarim kitzorim and the pratim that the student will understand. That's the way the Amshacha goes bepoil. Hey, and also the same thing is true. The same thing is as the seichel extends from the Rav by the Rav himself, which is shayches to the Talmud, but it's within the Rav. It's not yet the Hamshocha. It's as the seichel is in the seichel of the Rav. Originally, when it comes out in a way of a point. That nekuda includes all the details that later on they come out Eitzel Rav by the protim by the Rav. We're not talking about yet the actual hashpah. We're talking about within the Rav. That's the second aspect. Lifnei hashpah bepoil. This is by the Rav before the hashpah. So just like we have it by the hashpah of Rav Talmud, al derech zeh hu gam l'mayla. Similar to this, it's also above. The fact that the klal comes before the protim, that is both by the oil that actually comes down in order for the need to bring about the creation of the world, to bring him to being. First it was Amshach in a general way, and only afterwards Nimshechu haprotim. Then come down these specifics. As we said, first we have the Breishis Bor Elekim, everything is included in one mimer, And then it comes down in the Asora Mamoris, the other 9 Mamorim, the Protim from the Klal in Breishis. That's if we say Breishis on the simple level of creation. We have Breishis B'chuchmaso, we have Breishis Keser, we have all the different levels that I spoke before. Be'inyan zeh dikedimas haklal lahaprotim. But this idea of the klal coming before the details, hoya b'chol darga v'darga, that was on every step. So we go all the ways up, even the Ein Sof and Lifnei HaTzimtzum. There was also first gets the general, and then comes down to the specific. Kenal si Beis Barucha as earlier in the section 2 at length. So that's in the uh, so again, I turned it around, but this first is talking about in the Abish, the before actual creation, not yet about Breishis Bara. So that's in the Abish there or self, in the Ein Sof itself, we always have the cloud before the Prat. And then it actually behind Bisavas Bepoil, and also in the Bepoil. Shebetchila Nivra Ha'olam B'maimer Echad. First, the world was created with one saying, Hamaimer de Breishis, the word of Breishis, the saying of Breishis, Barak lachrezeh, hoiso, haisavus b'chol mamoris protim, and only afterwards was the hisavus and all the specific details. The Rebbe equates it to the mashal that we brought before, that the cloud comes before the prat. In actuality, in creation, that first it's b'maimer echad, and then it's a sort of mamoris, but also in the source, as the hashpoah comes, it always comes in a way of a klal uprat, as the mashal we gave from the Rav to the Talmud, which the klal uprat, the nekuda, and then the pratim is both, is by the Rav as the seichel comes to the Rav, that is shaykh to the Talmud, and then as he actually presents it to the Talmud. So the Rebbe in Oishei is going to ask, but l'ch'eira, this explanation is not sufficient. This mashal, this example is l'ch'eira not so much fitting to our case. And the Rebbe will explain, the Rebbe will ask in the next Ois, he says that when we talk about the Seichel Harav and the Seichel HaTalmud, so there's two goals over here. There's the Seichel Harav, he needs it for himself. And then the Seichel HaTalmud, he needs it for the student. But there is value that we need a Seichel Harav. And then how do we get the Seichel HaTalmud from the Seichel Harav? It comes through a nekuda, through a klal and a prat. But by the Eibishter, the Rebbe asked, since the whole purpose is the prat, it's not about the klal. Why is it necessary to create a klal to get the prat? Why not create the prat lechatchila? Let's look inside. Hey. But we have to, however, understand the l'cheira hamoshul v'derav v'talmid. This example that we brought from the Rav and the Talmud, it is not compared similar to the nimshal. The behamoshul harizeh sheyeshne seichel harav shelemaylo megeder hashpo lahatalmid. This, that there is a Rav's seichel which is higher than the definition of giving the flow, that seichel to the student, hu inyan shemitzad harav atzmei. That seichel is the Rav needs the seichel himself. V'loi b'shvil ha'hashpa la'talmud. That is not meant for the flow of the Talmud. He needs a seichel for the Rav himself at his level. So that's why we need that. And then from that, how to go to the lower level, to the chitzonis haseichel, to the ashpoas hatalmid, we need to go klal uprat, the kuda, and then the pratim. Mashein came nimshol, but in the nimshol, how they call hagilui. But all of these revelations, kol hagilui, gam hagiluyim achinailim, even the greatest revelation, doesn't matter. As high as you go, koilel gam ha'oir shebebechinas gilui ha'etzem, that would be including, when we say all giluyim, also the oir, which is in the level of gilui ha'etzem, a revelation of the essence, shelemayla gam ha'klal harishin ha'shayich lo'ilmes, which is higher even than also than the first general oir hashayich lo'ilmes, which is shayich to aliyas harotzen, which was came up the will to create worlds within the Ein Sof of Lifnei HaTzimtzum. There's two levels there too. There's Gilui HaAtzim, and then there is Aliyas Harotzin for Oilamos. So even when we talk about the highest level in Oir, in the Oir that is Gilui HaAtzim, what is all the purpose and the goal? Ubichdei sha'achar kach yumshechu mimenu al derivu tzimtzumim ha'asora mamoris shabahem nivra ha'olam. This was all for the purpose that eventually they should come down through the many restrictions, should be the 10 saying shabahem nivra ha'olam. All of the things happened for creation of this world. So since everything, there is no for itself like by the Rav, the Seichel for the Rav himself. Here, it's all about this world. So based on this, we need to understand so why has there not lechatchila been the 10 mamoris? The biur hanal al hatzoyrech dikdimas haklal lahaprotim. This that we explained before, that we need to have the klal before we can have the protim, before we can have the details. That after we have determined, we have established. That first you have the light which is higher than having a connection to the world. And from that higher light, from the oil that is higher, it should be dam shochel ferach. So since we've established that there is an oil which is higher than shachas lo'elomes, and we want from that oil that is higher shachas lo'elomes to come down to the light that is connection to the erech ha'elomes. Okay, you need a klal uprat. Why? The kivon sha'oir shel fi erech ha'elomes nimshach ma'oir shel ma'ilom b'shaychus lo'elomes. Since the oil that is compared to the world comes from a light which is higher than having a connection to the world, so that's why at first you need hamshach in a general way. That created that limitation so that the oil, so the reason why we need that restriction, the klal before the prat, is because the prat comes from the klal. So if it comes from such a powerful place, in order to get it to a lower place, you need the hagbola of the klal. You need the nekuda. But that's the Rebbe's question. Why is the oir come from such a higher oir? Why can't the gilu lachatchila be? Move on. But it's not understood. The kivon shakavona bamtsos oir shelamayla mishaychus lo'elamus. Since what's the purpose? Why was there found such an oil which is higher than connection to the oilmas? So that later on, from that oil which is higher than the world, it should come an oil that is according to compared to the world until it comes down to the 10 sayings with which the world was created, that level of oil that comes down the Sodom Amoris. So l'chayra should have been, to begin with, hamshachas hamtzoas hasodom Amoris should have been drawn down and came about the 10 sayings. Instead of going through the process, creating the level of the Ein Sof, which is higher than world. And then, in order to create, come down to that sort of mamoris, we need the tzimtzum, the klalu prat. Why not create lechatchila the pratim? Why not create lechatchila the sort of mamoris? And the Rebbe will explain you needed the klal in order that there should be sense, some godliness, so that the people will become bottled to godliness. We need something higher than not only that limited oil. The creations need to know that they need to be subjugated to something which is above them. Vav. The idea is bichdei, the bichdei shetushlam kavonas hanibriya. In order for the purpose, the intent of creation should be completed, fulfilled, which is what? It is not just to create nivroim. It is shanivroim al yidei avedosum yu betelim lelikus, that the created being through their service should become subjugated to godliness. That's why creation was in such a way. Shegam koidem ha'avodah, that even before they work through and they become bottled, tiyeh b'hanivroim ke'ein hachshone v'hachshore lehabitl sheyifalu al yidei avedosum. So the nivroim should have a preparation and getting them ready to the bittul that they're going to accomplish through their avodah. There needs to be before the avodah a sense of bittul, so that then the avodah will accomplish the bittul. That's why the creation was in a way. In the beginning, there came down the light which is above having connection to Elvis. Umimenu dafke, and it's dafke from that, or nimshach ha'oir sheliferech ha'ilmes. Then comes down the Erlifef, that's relative to the world. Shal yidei zen nase ha'chshore ba'oilom liyes lo'dir lo'yizborech. That made the preparation for the world. It allowed for the world to become a dira lo'yizborech, so that later on, through the avodah, you'll be batla lakusa, you'll be the dira to the Eibusher. So that's why we needed first the higher level. The Rebbe is going to explain this. V'yuvan zeh v'hagdi mashom razal. We'll understand this by introducing what our sages tell us. The altam azeh shebriya sa'olam hoya so ba'asorim amoris. Why Taka? The Mishnah says, well, the Eibusher created with one saying. Why did the Eibusher create with 10 sayings? Af shebemaimer echad yochel lihi boris. Even though that the Eibusher can create with one, why did the Eibusher create with 10? So the Mishnah says, "Ulipora min harishoyim chulu." It's to collect, to punish the shoyim, and also litin sochar tov letzadikim, and to give reward for tzadikim that they are destroying or sustaining a world which is made out of 10 sayings. That's what the Mishnah says. It's not a world made of one saying, but it's a world that is made out of 10 sayings. So what does that mean? What is the explanation of this Mishnah? So it's known, the explanation, the be'im. So there would be no tzaddikim and no rishoyim if the Eibishter created the world with one mimer. Everybody would be a tzaddik. So there would be no bechira. That's why we needed 10. The be'im hoisa ha his havus. If the creation, the bringing about would have been with one saying, then the world would have been totally subjugated to Hashem. Because even the world of Bria, which is the higher of the three worlds of Bria, that was created from the saying of Bereshis, which is within the Sfiras HaMalchus of Atzilus, Einoi Yesh Mamish. Bria is not an actual entity, which means that even the way it was created now, it's not fully a Yesh. Umekolshkein. Be'im hoisa his havus ma'maimer echad. If, for sure, if Bria or Bia would have been created from the one saying, the Chochma, the Keser, whether Breish is B'Chochma or the level of the Rotzen, as the Rebbe brought down before of Keser, and how much more so the Rotzen that Tzimtzum. So then the worlds will be totally bottled. If you create it from the higher level, they will be totally bottled. They would not apply the idea of choice. It would not be Rishoyim, not be Tzadikim, because everything would be bottled. And that's why the creation was with 10 detailed saying. So through these details, they became in the level of a yesh, of an entity. Now it applies to them the idea of choice. That's why that's what the Mishnah says. There is reward, there is punishment. To collect from those who do bad, and to give reward for the righteous. So that's why the Eibishter creates with 10 sayings so that there will be bechira. Avo but since that the creation that comes from the 10 saying he bebchinas yesh, it's a level of yesh. Not only yesh, you can choose the opposite. It becomes a yesh that there's bechira. So that means that it's so distant from Hashem already that you're a yesh, and you can choose the opposite. So in order for the intent of creation to be accomplished, fulfilled, that there should be revelation of godliness in the world, there should be godliness, and the Nevroim should be bottled to godliness. That's why the creation was in a way that first you have this one maimer. And from that one maimer detailed into 10 specific sayings. The Ali they said that way because the first was a maimer echad, yesh behelem ba'asore ma'amoris haklal the maimer echad. So that way, in a hidden way, in the 10 sayings, in the details, in the yesh, creation of yesh, it still has in it obscure the klal of the maimer echad, the Bereishis Borod. Vayidei avodas ha'odom, and through the work and the service of man, hu megale es haklal the maimer echad, he reveals that generality, that maimer echad, shebechol hadargis, in all levels, it reveals ad la rotzin shelifnei hatzimtzum, up till the rotzin that is before the tzimtzum. He reveals that level, the highest level, where in the Asara Mamoris, Beha Asara Mamoris, Ubeha Ilom, in the 10 Mamoris, and in the world, Shenishavim Mehem, that was created from them. Sheyi Agila Lakus Beha Ilom, there should be a revelation of godliness, Sheyi Abatul Lakus, that it should be subjugated to godliness. So the reason why we need the details is because if we just have the klal, there would be no bechira, there would be no yesh. So we need the klal. We need the asara mamoris. But if you only have the asara mamoris, then it can go, that's too far. It can be a yesh. It needs to be in a way that the asara mamoris come from the maimer echad. The maimer echad keeps them in the level of bittul. And the 10 mamoris, that makes the yesh. So we shows that there needs to be gilu elikus, and the yesh should be bottled. So that's why, that's the explanation why the Eibishter creates basora mamoris. So there should be choice, but he also starts off with maimer echad, that's the level of gilu elikus in order for the world to be bottled. The Rebbe will bring this also to the next step, that's the way the creation is also, as the Rebbe will continue to speak further on. All right, we'll leave it here.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.